Welcome, everybody. I am so beyond excited to have the most incredible mentor, hair icon, hair hero, Mr. Stephen Moody, with me today on 27 Talks. I'm so grateful to see your face. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here sharing with you on a lovely sunny Thursday afternoon. It's nice to chat.
It's very nice to chat. Thank you for your time in doing this. And so many of us right now in our industry are, as the rest of the globe and the country and every industry, but we're all navigating through some pretty crazy stuff right now, that's for sure. And I'm really glad that people like you, who we all look up to, have so many wise words to share. And I just wanted to chat about your experience right now and how you're kind of
Yeah.
through some of this, um, in terms of how you are such a creative person. How are you staying creatively inspired and motivated in this world we live in right now?
Yeah. Well, it's truly unprecedented times. I like to read history. I'd like to look back on things that have happened in the past, and I think the nearest that I can figure out is 1919 with the Spanish flu that actually wasn't Spanish. How it got the name Spanish flu, nobody quite knows. It started here in the US. And I was reading the other day that apparently, this is really morbid and a downer, but um, more Americans were killed by the Spanish flu than the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean War, Vietnam, um, Afghanistan, and Iraq combined.
Incredible.
And the thing about the Spanish flu is they hadn't got the foggiest idea what was going on. They just didn't know what was going on. It was only later that they figured out what on earth it was. So yeah, it's unprecedented. And I mean, I'm a believer in I think it's important that we follow the science rather than emotions. As hairdressers, certainly this hairdresser who's speaking now, 99% of my decision making is emotion. I'm terrible. Um, and I kind of shoot from the hip type of thing. But with this, I think it's important that, we do as we're told. And, doing as we're told is sometimes a little bit un-American, um, you know. But with this situation, I think it's important that we listen to the science and we do our best to kind of look at the long term, which is hard. It's hard for hairdressers because so many hairdressers now are self-employed, and even the ones that are not self-employed, that are kind of on a commission system or even salaried, most of them are furloughed, and you know, it's tough. But I think if we just sit tight and we're in it for the long haul, I think we'll come through the other end, smelling of roses.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think really having that methods in terms of how we do navigate through this, founded in reason and founded in excuse me, and founded in science. I think you're absolutely right that is how we come out on the other side of this, for sure.
I mean, one of the things that's really interesting is there's kind of two sides to the coin about salons going back and doing customers. I turn on the TV and I look at newscasters and I look at politicians, and their hair is immaculate.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, hang on a minute. You didn't do that yourself. Someone did that. Someone came within 6 feet of you to make you camera ready. So, I kind of look at that and I think, hang on. And then I know there's a lot of hairdressers too who are not working in salons, but they're going they're going to people's homes, which is obviously dangerous. But I was thinking to myself the other day, which is more dangerous? Keeping a salon closed and keeping customers out of a salon, or hairdressers going into people's homes in an unregulated fashion and doing their hair at home because they've got to put bread on the table. And I know that's not the official stance, and I probably will get fired for saying this, but it's fact.
It is.
People are getting their hair done,
Yeah.
whether it's legal or not, whether it's above board or not. And many ways, I'm thinking, well, maybe getting your hair done should be an essential business because people are going to get their hair done anyway. And I mean, in the state of California, hair professionals spend 1,600 hours getting a license. And I would hazard a guess, a massive, massive percentage of that 1,600 hours is about sterilization and sanitation and barbicide and this and that and the other. So in many ways, I think hairdressers are probably better placed than most professions to be able to deal with this, providing that with it in a licensed salon where there's space, there's such social distancing, and masks and tools are sterilized, etc. I mean, who better to take care of it other than a doctor or a dentist? We're probably like third in the pecking order of dealing with that.
I couldn't agree with that more. I feel like even as our state here in Arizona, that we're starting to navigate what reopening looks like for us here. And I'm obviously very deep in those conversations with, myself and ownership and what I feel is right to do. Then again, with my team and what they're comfortable doing, and then what's going to be right for the client as well and their level of comfort. But
Yeah.
truly, as I looked back at the big picture of how to raise this high standard, we as stylists across the nation and the globe, truly, we are already there. So I couldn't agree with you more
Yeah.
that it's very built in and ingrained in who we are as service providers to raise to that high standard as it is. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
put a mask on and we're like, yeah, you don't get to see my great lips, or you only get to see
Yeah.
expression or whatever it is, but those are workarounds for us to
Yeah.
hopefully move forward in whatever that's going to be. But I really truly do agree with you that we've got the tools in our toolbox already for how to navigate
Yeah.
this.
And Amber, you're a very good example. I think as hairdressers, we can smile with our eyes.
Right. Yeah.
So we can cover our mouth and we can still smile. It's funny because this morning I was on a group call with our the Wella global president. Her name is Sylvie Moreau, a fantastic lady, and she was telling us that they'd done research in the United Kingdom and the United States, and they'd surveyed I don't know how many thousands of women who basically were cooked up at home on lockdown. And they asked them, as soon as you get out of lockdown, as soon as you get out of your house, your apartment, as soon as you get away from your kids, your crazy husband, and work at home and all that kind of stuff, what's the first thing you're going to do? And it wasn't go for a meal. It wasn't go to a bar and get hammered. It wasn't go to the movies. It wasn't go for a walk in the park. It was get your hair and your nails done,
Yeah,
was number one.
absolutely. It makes us feel so much, just that process
Yeah.
in the chair. And I was kind of
Yeah.
even thinking about, since we're talking about the first thing that everyone's going to want to do, I was kicking around this theoretical conversation and kind of imagining what post lockdown styles and trends are going to be. Do you have
Yeah.
ideas? Like, are people just going to do big massive tops and huge changes? And what do you predict in terms of that? And
Well,
what
it's
would
really interesting because on some, I'm going to do a shameless plug here, Amber. On Sunday, I'm joining about a dozen really, really talented um, artists from all over the world. We're going to do something called COVID-19 Socialathon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And
sounds
it's organized by Samvia from Redken. And a whole bunch of us are doing different things in 30-minute slots. But I think it's 11 hours on Sunday. I think it starts at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, East Coast time on Sunday the 17th. And it ends at, I don't know, 9 o'clock or something. And Sam reached out to me and said, would you come and do this? And I said, hell yes. And I said, just be aware that, I'd really like to cut a model, cut a person, a real person. However, I might not be permitted to cut a real person given the time. Now, this is, I can't remember, 3-4 weeks ago we had this conversation. So at the time I didn't know. So I said, I'll commit, Sam, but that's my A plan, but I want a B plan. And I said, the last 8 years I've been doing something called triple craft, the art of color, cut, finish, transformation. And it's all kind of before and after photographs of transformations using color, cut, finish. And I'd like to have that as my B plan. And Sam said, hang on a minute. He said, why don't you do that as your A plan rather than you having it as your B plan? And I said, oh, great. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And we got to talking and saying, obviously with this presentation, a lot of people, are going to do their best to cut a client, but a person, a model or color a model. But depending on where they are in the world, they can or they can't. And if they can't, they'll obviously work on a mannequin. And he said it'll really mix it up for you to share these transformations. And one of the things we were talking about was coming out of this. We think a lot of women are going to say, hey, look, let's go for it. Let's get rid of the center partings and the elbow length hair and the sausage rolls on the back of the head. And let's have a change. People are ready for something that's a change. And I think the other thing too that's going to be interesting as well is I think people are going to want to have simple.
I couldn't agree
I
more.
think whether it's simple color or simple haircut or simple as in just tie it back and not really have a cut and a color. I think they're going to go one way or another and have something that's kind of, in my era, it was called wash and wear, things that were low upkeep as and style. And I think people will have been wrestling their hair for such a long time by themselves at home. I think they're going to want to have something that's really chic and, cool and different, but a transformation, whether that's the color or the cut or the style or, all of the above. So yes, if this goes out before Sunday the 17th,
Yes.
yeah, go to Sam Veer's site. Maybe I could send you the lockups, the promotions where people can sign up.
The roster of people participating is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
I did see how many so like innovative, amazing
Yeah.
ones that so much to share with us. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to it
Yeah. And it's interesting because what they're doing is they're kind of going east to west. So I think they've got some artists in Europe that are starting it, which is kind of at the end of their day. And then they hop over to New York and then they hop over to the Midwest. And the final stop is here. And I think I do the second to the last one. And then Robert Labetta, who was the creative director and the founder really of Sebastian, he's closing it, and I'm sure he'll do an incredible kind of ethereal presentation as he always does.
It'll be
So
like, let alone the education that can be there, the inspiration, just like we were talking about. How do you stay inspired right now? It's things
yeah,
like that, absolutely. And
yeah.
able to turn in and get the juices flowing again as we're all sitting there going, I can't cut my kid's hair anymore. We got to get our hands in something. So I'm sure
Yeah,
you're so excited.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I
No,
can't wait.
it's going to be exciting. And again, a shameless plug here. I think you can donate as little as $2.
That's incredible.
So, you donate whatever you can. Everybody's different, but all of that $2 or whatever you donate is going to go to the Professional Beauty Association, and they've got an independent program where they can allocate the funds to hairdressers, salon owners in US and Canada. I think Puerto Rico as well. I think it's a North American initiative. So I think it's Canada, US, Puerto Rico, and Sam and all of us all we're doing is just supplying the juice. The dollars themselves are all handled by PBA, which is fantastic.
Amazing. Amazing. And
Yeah,
so much good that can come out from this one event. I think it's fabulous.
yeah,
Can't wait to see it all come to life.
yeah.
That hairdresser high five across the globe as you guys do that through each segment. That's fantastic. So
And
that's
it's also great too how we're kind of taking off our jerseys. We're taking off our L'Oreal and Goldwell and there's a lot of indies as well. So we're just sort of coming together as artists and saying, we love the craft, we love you, and let's give back, rather than trying to fly a corporate flag. So
I mean, that's exactly what this industry, at the core of who we are, that has never left. And when you get put into a pressure cooker like we've all been, it's
yeah,
that's the meat and potatoes that makes our industry so thriving,
yeah,
so strong, so communal. And I think
yeah,
it's fantastic. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
So good. I was going to ask you too, and this is kind of in the same vein of talking about how to stay educated. And clearly, like, this is one example of how young stylists who maybe were just entering into their career when this happened, or I mean, you know me, and we've had long talks about continuing education and the role of the mentorship and all of that, and how much we really feel, oh, stop. Oh, who is this cute friend?
this is Arnold, and he just dropped something off.
Arnold.
Really, he
Arnold,
wants to play.
all the love right now. So awesome.
Arnold's a flat coat retriever, and
Okay.
he just wants to retrieve all day long.
Keep yeah. It's like my children coming to be like, Mom, I'm bored. Mom, I'm bored constantly. All
Yeah.
the time, right?
Oh, you're doing a great job. You really are.
Thank you.
Moms deserve a medal through all of this.
Well, thank you. It's been quite navigating the duality of my personality is 100% at work and 100% at home, and then not having that one half of me be fully in operation it was
Yeah,
very stunting at first, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we all have kind of put a smile on and woke up every day.
Yeah,
Here we go again, we got this.
let's put one foot in front of the other. That's what we do as hairdressers.
You know, is there any other,
Sorry, what was your question?
I was just gonna say, is there any other, advice or either the hows or the whats in terms of how people who are looking for education right now who aren't getting it by their mentorship in the salon, standing right next to either their coach or their leader, or collaborating ideas in a physical space like we normally do, what is like the major go-to that you could suggest for people who are really craving that sense of how do I better myself in terms of my craft here in the solidarity of my home?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and I think I try to kind of watch as much as I can online to see my peers and to see colleagues, etc. But at some point, with doing that on either Instagram or YouTube or whatever, at some point you're drinking from a fire hydrant, because it's just a lot of information coming at you. So what I try to do is I try to kind of mix and I try to read a lot. I'm a book type person as well. And I'm a collector of anything that's to do with hairdressing that's books. And I try to go back through all of that. And I mentioned earlier that I'm a fan of history. I like sort of the last 50 years in our craft. And I love to sort of read up on, how we got to where we are today. I mean, we mentioned an icon earlier on in Robert Labetta. And, I think a lot of people who are sort of, you know, minus 30, for example, minus 25, who've probably come into the craft post 2008, post the big, the last big depression. I think a lot of people have kind of come into a craft that's a bending craft, as in bending hair, as opposed to styling hair or cutting hair. And I think in many ways they've also come into a craft too that's a painting craft rather than a coloring craft. And I talk to a lot of folks, and they really do think that the Instagram stars that we, and I'm not going to mention any names, but these Instagram stars are absolutely have invented the way that we do hair today. And they've done a great job, but they've really only been around for a little while. And again, I'll just come back to Robert, for example. I kind of advise people to go online and look up people and look at the work and put together a history. There's that fantastic saying about we don't know where we're going unless we really truly understand, where we've been. And I mentioned Robert. I mean, one of my heroes that I had the pleasure of working 30 odd years with her was Annie Humphreys, who, Annie really was the mother of Colliston Perfect. She was the woman that invented foil. She really invented what is now the Colliston Perfect color range. She invented painting, flying color. I mean, God knows how many techniques this woman came up with. And she entered an industry where there was really three colors. It was black or bleached or brown. That was just about it, really. And, when she hung up her tint brush, God knows how many years later, she single-handedly, I call her the mother of the queen of color. And I think, to answer your question, do some research, look at people that have come through in the past. Tim Hartley is another one. Leo Passage at Pivot Point is another. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but there's amazing forefathers that we can learn and look to, that can inspire us in many ways, above and beyond what's on Instagram now. And I think I mentioned earlier on, I go to my Instagram live and I do a couple of haircuts every week. But at some point, cutting a mannequin, there is only so much you can do. There is only so much you can transmit. So yeah, to answer your question, mix it up. Get your nose in some books or some. Doesn't have to be a book; it could be Google. Google some of those names, and look through where we've been the last 50 years. I mean, as an industry, we've done amazing things the last 50 years. Financially, not so well in the last 10 years. I don't know we're doing particularly well at the moment. And, God willing, coming out of this, we're going to see a resurgence of our industry. And it's a terrible thing to say, but, the COVID-19 has really, it's taken away a lot of our loved ones. And it might also take away a lot of salons. It might take away a lot of stylists. And, the strong will will remain. The cream will rise to the top. So yeah, spend this time and really and reach out to people. I mean, I have people kind of ping me on Facebook and Instagram and, oh my God, I thought you'd never return my message. And I'm like, why not? I'll help you. Tell me what you need. If I can't help you, I'll tell you I can't help you. But if I can, I will. Just let me know.
I think it's incredible. And yeah, you're right. The long hair history that our industry has had, and so many innovators, creators, and educators. And you are right there amongst them all. So everybody should be Googling you and looking at all of the craft work that you do as well. It's truly incredible. And I think that you are an amazing pioneer innovator in our industry too. So to add to your list that you just gave me, I'm going to stick you right on there too.
Well, I'm a pragmatist too. I kind of look at the dollars and cents as well. And, I was born and raised in a hair salon. And luckily, I was raised in a hair salon where, really perms, colors, 6-week haircuts, 4-week colors. I mean, people were spending a lot of money and they were coming to the salon on a very, very regular basis. And I think, we need to get back to that. We need to start and suggest through consultation things that really are going to make people look good, feel good. But at the same time, they can't do that themselves at home in the kitchen. They can't go to the drugstore and buy that color and color their own hair. Because again, I'm kind of a pragmatist. I really think that if we can, let's get every Mrs. Smith and every Mr. Jones in our chair and spending money with us, rather than spending money on a pair of clippers to clipper their own hair bald at home, for the guy, or go to the drugstore and color their own hair in the bathroom.
Those at home jobs escalate out of control quickly, don't they?
They do. They do.
The professionals, we got you. We got you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a fun pop-up of quick questions about you, and they're nothing complicated. It's all about you. And so I have 7 questions to round out my 27 talks. So here we go. So your favorite movie of all time?
Betty Blue.
Oh, great. Best thing you've eaten while in COVID shutdown?
Indian.
Anything in particular?
Oh, I'll eat anything that's Indian. I was born and raised in the UK, so here in Southern California, our go-to food is Mexican. In the UK, our go-to food is Indian. Yeah.
What's your favorite type of curry?
I don't mind. I like kind of yogurt
Mm-hmm.
and tomato bases. I like aloo gobi, kind of potato and cauliflower. I like those kinds of things. I don't like Monster Hot.
You don't?
I don't like really, no, because at that point my taste buds go numb. My tongue gets anesthetized, and I like to taste the food. And if it's too hot, you can't really sort of taste it, I don't think. But I love Indian food. Yeah.
And the hotter the better for me. I don't have very many taste buds apparently because I need to light my face off. Okay, so what's your favorite iconic haircut? It's hard to choose one.
Oh,
Is there one?
I get asked this all the time, and it's such a tough one. Rather than answering your question and saying iconic haircut, I'm going to give you an iconic technique.
I love that even more. Yes.
So my favorite of the 3 techniques, line and layers, is graduation. I just love graduating hair, and the reason I love it is it's a bitch to do. Can I say bitch?
You can, because it's a total bitch. too.
it's a nightmare to do. Uh, so you have to kind of focus, and it's to me, it's like yoga. Graduating hair is like yoga or meditation. I'm just in my space. And then the other thing is, I love cutting hair above the shoulders as opposed to down the back. So graduation, as you well know, is better shoulder length and above. And then the net result of graduation, whether it's curly hair or straight hair, the hair tends to get bigger and it gets fuller. And I like big hair.
That
Yeah.
expansion of the shape is something that I
Yeah.
think about as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. What is your quarantine song? If you had to like choose a song, what's your quarantine song?
Oh my goodness.
It can just be
I
your
was a
what's
no. I've got it. I've got it. And it's really funny that you should ask this question because I was watching a football match the other day, and obviously it was a recorded one. It wasn't live, and it was Liverpool at home, and their song that they sing right before the game starts is "You'll Never Walk Alone."
oh
And when you listen to the words, um, it, I won't repeat what the words are, but that's everybody's homework is Google, "You'll Never Walk Alone," because the words, I think it's Rogers and Hammerstein who wrote it.
mhm.
But yeah, it's Liverpool's kind of song that they sing right before kickoff. But the words are so apt for where we're at the moment. They're so appropriate. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
That's awesome. I was going to ask what your favorite animal is, but I have a feeling that it's sitting that cutie pie that's next to you might be your favorite animal. So instead, I will ask you kind of a weird one: is if you could be any type of muffin, what kind of muffin would you be, and why?
One without a top.
We'll leave it at perfection. I love it. How's that for a pop-up question? What
Well,
what is your favorite place that you can't wait to get back to, whether it be in your community or, I mean, you have circled the globe countless times, but what is the favorite place that you just can't wait to get back to when you safely can?
it's 5 miles that way. I want to get back down to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get. I just want to get up really early, and I've actually got it. Funnily enough, you'll never walk alone. You took the words out of my mouth there. And then this question is: tomorrow, I'm actually off work. I've got a day off tomorrow, and yesterday they opened the beaches.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
Yeah, so tomorrow morning I'm going to go for a run on the beach, and I'm just going to go and you can't lay out. I don't lay out anyway, but I'm just going to go for a run, and I might go for a swim as well. But that's where I'm dying to go because I love water. I love the ocean. Yeah.
What a great recharge and reset that's going to be. Oh my gosh, you're just going to be like the most zen, let it wash over you. That sounds magical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, my last of my questions is going to be, and you did touch on it a little bit, but I'll just ask it one more time. Why do you love hair?
Ooh. Again, it's kind of a multi. I'll kind of give you the USA Today version.
Mhm.
Um, um, I think it started with, and this sounds a little bit perverse, but I love women. I love girls. I love females. Um, I was raised in a hair salon, and I just loved being around women as a child growing up. My family is a very sort of matriarchal family. All the leaders and the kingpins in my family are all female. So I just loved being around women. And then as I got a little bit older and kind of had to decide on a career, I noticed all my friends were sort of, you know, taking up jobs where Friday night was the most important part of the week because they could go out and find some girls. And there I was, surrounded all week by amazing, this great opportunity. So that was like the beginning of it. And then bit by bit, when I sort of overcame the fear and the apprehension of doing and dealing with hair, I just really sort of enjoyed that, making people feel and look, better and feel better about themselves. That was a big thing for me. But the biggest thing of all, and this is like number three, I guess. Number three for me was just being able to watch hairdressers grow. And I watched it with my own family and Vidal the man and how he influenced my family and my financial status as in the family. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if A, I could be around women, B, I could make them feel good, look good, and C, and this is the key one for me, is I could help inspire, grow, motivate, excite fellow professionals like Vidal and Sassoon did for my family. So it's like a 1, 2, 3. And in many ways, sort of the last 20, 25 years, number three's become the biggest, really. The other two haven't gone away, but what really fries my onions is watching other people do well. And that to me is, I still love cutting hair, and I love to stand on stage and what have people watching me. It feels good. You feel good doing great hair, or it's just a friend whose hair you're cutting and they're really happy. That feels good. But I think the thing that really kind of floats my boat is when you watch someone else doing that as a result of holding their hand, or this interview, or whatever it is, any little thing. That to me is it's that thing of paying it forward. Is where I'm at. Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing a damn good job of it. You really are. You really, really are. You were born to do it, that's for sure.
Well, trying.
I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And getting to chat with you is always, always a pleasure. This was truly incredible in these circumstances. But listen, all the places that we've been able to run into each other, I can't wait to see you out and about again when it's safe and time permits. But thank God we have something like this right now that we can utilize, and I couldn't be more grateful.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.